Welcome back to America's Sports. For another division predictions video, today we have the AFC West predictions, home of the Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to break down all the most important things that have happened for each team since that Super Bowl game, and we'll predict the record and the place of each team. Let's go. Real quick, last year the Raiders fans really got on me for saying that they were only going to win 6 games, and look what happened. The comment section 95% of the time is awesome. I love to hear everyone's reactions, just overall opinion. No matter how much you want to tell me I'm a dumb, stupid idiot for not picking your team to win more games than you think. Let's just be respectful towards everybody. Team that finished 4th last place last year was the Denver Broncos. They were 5-12 and 1-5 in the division. Odds to win the West are plus 550 this year. The odds come from DraftKings. The over-under wins is 8.5 by FanDuel. Alright, so let's start with the additions and the subtractions. Number 1, Frank Clark, taken from divisional opponent, Kansas City Chiefs. In 2022, Clark had 5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 7.5 stuffs, and 39 total tackles, which is the most he's had since his younger days in Seattle. They were able to re-sign safety Kareem Jackson for 1 more year as well, which is big, and wide receiver Marquez Callaway comes to the team from the Saints. Now, this is huge because Tim Patrick is injured again, and he will miss this season as well as he missed last season. I wish nothing but the best for Tim Patrick. I hope he comes back better than ever. So Callaway is going to be in a bigger role. Callaway only had 1 touchdown with the Saints last year, but just under 700 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns the year before when he was more of a focal point of the offense. They also drafted a wide receiver this year, 2nd round pick, Marvin Mims out of Oklahoma. Mims is going to be useful for them regardless though, as he is listed as their punt and kick returner. And of course, Sean Payton is now their head coach, where they say everything has changed as a culture, the way they do things on the daily as a team. I believe that this defense will be fine as long as the offense can stay out on the field long enough for them to get their wind back. There's some dogs on this defense, there's no denying that. Pat Surtain II is the best DB in all of the land in my eyes, and Justin Simmons had a career year as well. You add a guy like Frank Clark to this already stout defense. Randy Gregory only played in 6 games for them as well last year. He's back. And then on offense, young stud running back Javonte Williams is also supposed to be back for them, who missed 13 games last year. And they signed running back Samaje Perine as well, in case Javonte is slow to get back or gets injured again, or just to be the 2nd running back on the team, because Samaje Perine was great in Cincinnati. I was really hurt to lose him, but he will serve you well. He is a fine running back. I think Denver will be better because they basically have to be better, right? It can't really go much worse than it did last year. But I do believe they will be much better on offense and overall, because this will help out the defense as well. They were dead last in points scored, 21st in yards per game. They have a legit shot at starting 3-1 this year, possibly 2-2 with the division win. I like the start to their schedule, especially. This team, along with the Giants, the Seahawks, those 3 were the 3 teams that I just got completely wrong last year. And it does kind of feel like I'm falling for the Denver trap once again. And I'm going to give Russell Wilson the benefit of the doubt of figuring this quarterback thing out. Even if he is a step slower than he was at Seattle, he is still a great thrower of the football. I give the Broncos an 8-9 record, 2-4 in the West, which is good for 3rd in the division. But this will certainly put Denver on notice for the future, to the rest of the division and to the AFC overall. The Las Vegas Raiders last year finished 6-11, going 3-3 in the division, winning half their games in the division. This year though, they have plus 1,200 odds to win the AFC West. And the wins over under, provided by FanDuel, all of these are at 6.5. Alright, let's go with the additions and losses. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo is now their starting QB as he left the 49ers. or they left him, whatever. Raiders drop Derek Carr, and Carr goes to the Saints. Their backup, just in case Jimmy G gets hurt or gets benched like Derek Carr did, is veteran quarterback Brian Hoyer. Yo, I still can't believe they did that to Derek Carr last year. They've picked up a bunch of tight ends this year. Tight end Austin Hooper is the starter for now, but they drafted Michael Mayer for a very good reason, so they'll definitely use him and may eventually become the number 1 tight end here, who knows, as they kind of let the Giants get Darren Waller for not a lot in return, in my opinion. If any Raiders fans want to let me in on why this could potentially be a good move to drop Darren Waller, I'm all ears. I understand that Waller missed some time last year. Maybe that's where you want to go. I don't know. Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, and Max Crosby had the best seasons for the Raiders by a long shot. But they don't really want to pay Jacobs, it seems. They did pay Adams, but it feels like they try everything they can to piss him off. In Crosby, they never really talk about. I like their draft picks. I do think Chandler Jones will have a better season this year. Their wide receiver trio is actually pretty nice. I just don't have much faith in this team aside from that. It's no offense to Jimmy G or anything like that. They have some pieces to build upon, but I do think that's what it is. It's a building type of year. And I don't think Jimmy G, Josh Jacobs, and Devontae, I don't think those players want to rebuild anything. Wouldn't be surprised if Josh Jacobs is gone. Maybe not, but running backs are just in a bad spot overall, so I feel for all the running backs right now. I could see Devontae Adams also gone after just completely balling out this year, as Jimmy G's going to feed him a lot. Am I seeing this all wrong, Raiders fans? Let me know. But I do not like their odds. I have them at 5-12. 2-4 in the division, which grants them 4th place in the division. If this team turns it around and does anything better than 7-8 wins, I will totally come on here and face your Raiders and will be the first team that I admit dead wrong to. Now we get to the hype train that is the LA Chargers. Last season they were 10-7, 2-4 in the division, still good enough for 2nd in the West. The Chargers are a plus 340 to win the AFC West with their wins total over under at 9.5, which both are fair. The Chargers ended their season on a heartbreaking loss again for the 2nd year in a row, but at least this time this was a loss as a playoff team. They've improved by a game last year and then by 2 games in Herbert's first year as a starting quarterback from the year before that. Injury and, in my opinion, coaching has kept this team back a little bit. Although I will say, with the lead they had last year, you'd like to think that your team could hold on to that one anyway. But I won't keep going back to that game. I know how it feels to lose heartbreakers, as we all do as big-time NFL fans. Alright, let's go to the additions and the losses real quick. Defensive tackle Austin Johnson is still on the PUP. And not sure when he will be back. So they signed Nick Williams, who has played on a few teams. Last year he played for the Giants and played 8 games for them. They were also able to get linebacker Eric Kendricks, which was big, who was on the Vikings for his first 8 seasons. On defense, you have kind of the same key guys. The linebacking crew looks solid overall. You got Khalil Mack, Asante Samuel Jr. They played in all 17 games last year. Safety Gilman had his best year. But the biggest difference for this team can be if Joey Bosa, who played 5 games last year, Derwin James Jr., who played 14, and defensive back J.C. Jackson, who played in 5 games only. If they can be healthy enough to play in the 15 to 17 game range, they will improve dramatically on defense. You need the luck of being healthy in this conference for sure. On the offensive side of the ball, standout veteran wide receiver Keenan Allen missed 7 games, and the other stud wide receiver along the side of him, Mike Williams, missed 4 games. Alright, now it's time for me to rant about one of the most electrifying players in the NFL, Austin Eckler, who accounted for 18 of the team's total touchdowns and over 1,600 all-purpose yards. Oh, and he didn't miss any games. I don't think the Chargers make the playoffs without him last year, and even he couldn't get a long-term deal. He could only get a one-year deal. Davis Mills, Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson threw for less touchdowns than that. I get people saying how the game has changed, but when we're talking about Ekeler on this team, Ekeler has changed with the game. Overall, I'm really wrestling with their record between two choices, 10-7 or 11-6. I think they have an impressive 10-4 start. And then they kind of skid their last 3 games because their last 3 games are tough. So I do have them finishing with a 3-game losing streak going into the playoffs, which isn't great. But they will be strong for most of the season. So I'm officially going with 10-7. 3-3 in the division, which is actually better than they did last year in the division, which is good for second place. And now we move on to those big bad Kansas City Chiefs, who last year finished 14-3 in the regular season, 6-0 in the division. That's good for first place. The defending AFC West champions for their 7th year in a row, I believe. I've started to lose count. Seriously, I bet Chiefs fans are too. AFC champions and Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. What more can be said than that right there? Winning is their tradition, especially with Patrick Mahomes. And they've built one hell of an organization. I give them their respect. They deserve it. It's the one team that I believe stands in our way as a Bengals fan. Even in the loaded AFC, that's the team. Anyways, additions and losses. Like we talked about, the Chiefs lost Frank Clark to the Broncos, division rival. They also lost their best offensive lineman in Orlando Brown Jr. to the Bengals in the offseason. Thanks. I'm just messing. Also lost another piece of the offensive line in Andrew Wiley, who has been there for a while. And also worth mentioning, Kalen Saunders leaves Kansas City to join the Saints. Juju Smith-Schuster and Mecole Hardman, wide receivers for last year's team, both went elsewhere. Juju going to the Patriots, and Hardman went to the Jets. Who did they pick up for these losses? They grab up defensive end Charles Omenihu, who just recently got suspended for the first 6 games for conduct policy. I don't really know the details into that, as that's not really what I do. A lot of Chiefs fans believe that the Chiefs were looking for Omenihu to kind of replace the loss of Frank Clark. But they'll have to wait and see, at least until week 7, if that is the case. On the O-line, they were able to pick up Donovan Smith, left tackle. Played 8 years with the Bucks. Also, Jawan Taylor comes over from the Jaguars. The Chiefs drafted wide receiver Rashee Rice, who I've heard nothing but good things about. But overall, I'm not worried that much about who Mahomes has to throw to, considering he still has the best tight end of all time, in my opinion, who also played at UC. And Noah Gray is also a very capable tight end. And we have to start looking at Jerick McKinnon as a real crazy receiving threat as well. McKinnon accounted for 10 total touchdowns for the Chiefs last year, but 9 of them were receiving touchdowns. So I'm really not worried about the Chiefs overall. I mean, especially to win this division. They're gonna win this division. So my overall prediction is I have them at 13-4, 5-1 in the division. So 1 game worse than the year before. I think they have a hard schedule. I mean, they always have a hard schedule, but I think it's a little harder this year. And I think they are just a tad worse than last year. They're still very capable of winning a Super Bowl, though. I do have the Chargers getting up to beat them 1 time. And Broncos seem to play them sort of close, but in the end, the Chiefs are going to beat them too. I have them sweeping the Raiders and the Broncos. So there you have it. That's the end. The Chiefs win the AFC West yet again. Is there anyone out there who does not have the Chiefs winning the division? Give me your best reasoning as to why they won't win the division if you do. Make sure to subscribe for more division predictions before the season and even more videos to come when the season starts. If you happen to also be into gaming, I have a gaming channel, AVG America's Video Games. Go check it out. But that's it for me, guys. I will see you in the next predictions video. Have a great day.